Go Ford for your next truck or SUV and find an easier way to buy with Woodhouse Ford today and experience the convenience of buying with Woodhouse Ford. Save up to $13,000 off MSRP on a 2023 Ford F-150 XLT plus 3.9% APR for 60 months with approved credit. $299 doc fee due at signing. Security deposit waived. Expires 1/02/2024.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote.com. That's SelectQuote.com.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
Hey, it's Jim Chapman reminding you that if you have not heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. 1, it's free. 2, there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. 3, Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more platforms. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's really everything you need to make a podcast in only one place. It makes it easy, folks. So do me a favor, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. My guest today is a bona fide leader and expert in the pest control industry. But more than that, he's a leader who is, despite having a comfortable job and a comfortable salary, took the leap of faith to start his own business right here in Livingston Parish. Today, we're going to learn what motivated him to do that, the challenges he faced early on, and how Expert Pest Services separates themselves from probably any other pest control company you have ever heard of. With that, welcome Jamie Fontenot to Local Leaders, the podcast.
Glad to be here.
So first, I want to get into your background a little bit. I want to discuss where you're from and how you ended up in Livingston Parish, because I know from that accent, you're not from like Baton Rouge.
No, I'm originally from Mamou, Louisiana. Mamou. Big Mamou.
Now, where's Mamou in relation to like Lafayette, for those that may not know?
It's about 30, 40 minutes north of Lafayette.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. It's about 10 minutes from Ville Platte.
Okay. Heart of Cajun country. Right by Flat Town, as they call it. I got you. So, very good. So, you ended up in Livingston Parish at some point. How did you get this way from Mamou?
Well, actually, my parents divorced probably when I was 4 or 5 years old, and when my mom remarried, we moved to Livingston Parish, which was probably 40 years ago.
Oh. Well, then you're a Livingston Parish guy. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, I always say anything past 20 years, you're pretty much a Livingston guy at that point, or gal. So you ended up here, and we want to, one thing that is really special about you is your experience in the pest control industry. So this isn't something you just started doing yesterday. You have a lot of certifications. You have a lot of experience behind you. So give us a quick rundown of your experience. How long have you been in the pest control industry overall?
Overall, about 20 years.
20 years. And you have what I would say a great slogan, which is get the best, forget the rest. Simple as that. And honestly, you carry quite a resume, not only in your experience in the industry, but also with the certifications you carry. I do want to kind of get into that a little bit. Give us a rundown of some of the things you're certified in.
I'm licensed in termite, pest control, bed bugs, nuisance animal, rodent, general standards, and did I mention nuisance animal?
You did, but you can mention it twice.
Yeah. I'm licensed in every aspect there is.
fantastic. So basically, you do a lot more than just kill roaches.
Exactly.
That's what I find that separates you. You know, there was a show a few years back, and I'm sure you've heard of it, watched it, Billy the Exterminator.
I know him very well.
Okay, so this is a guy, I think he was from North Louisiana, is in the pest control industry. His show became very popular. My kids absolutely loved his show. The beginning of it when he did the little 30-second start and, ooh, snake. You remember that part on the beginning? My kids I would joke with them about that all the time. Just thought about that. But him and y'all remind me a lot of each other, not in the fact of how y'all act, because he's absolutely crazy, but in the fact that y'all do a little bit of everything. And that's something that you're not going to get out of every pest control company, is it?
No, there's some pest control companies. A lot of the bigger companies will not do some of the things that I do. It's too time consuming, and some of the bigger ones are not licensed for it.
Right. And especially, well, you know, we're going to take all of them one by one and kind of what you do and what they are. But before that, I want to kind of discuss like nuisance animals. You brought that up. That's something that I would imagine Louisiana is kind of it's a good area to operate a pest control business, especially the Livingston Parish area. It's got some, you know, wooded areas to it and everything where probably nuisance animals are more prevalent than, I guess, if you lived in the desert or something like that, or somewhere where it's sparsely populated. So is that something in Livingston Parish, in Baton Rouge? I'm sure you service them as well. Is this something that that you run into a lot, these nuisance animals that you got to go trap and dispose of or relocate? Or
I probably get 5-6 phone calls a week on nuisance animals. I actually got a call at 7:00 last night. A woman had a snake under her bed and she was handicapped. Asked me to come get it out from under her bed, and we have to exclude the areas where they're getting in, and she was wanting to know how it was getting in, and I actually got a possum in back of my truck right now I just picked up in a trap. So yeah, you get a lot of nuisance animal calls.
So there's a good question for all you listeners and viewers out there. Were you a pest control guy? Come get a snake out from under your bed in the middle of the day? If not, maybe you need to look up Jamie and get started with some service with you, because that's something not everybody does. You know, and there's a place for all pest control companies, and there's some, like you say, they just don't want to fool with it. And but you do. And that's always intrigued me is that industry, because I'm not someone that, you know, for example, mice and rats, that's not something I want to fool with at all. Just don't like them. They freak me out. So I'm glad there's someone to reach out to in that case and say, hey man, you know, I got an issue over here. So I do want to kind of get into everything that you do, and we're going to start with basic pest control service. What would that include? Like roaches, centipedes? Kind of give me the breakdown on that.
Basic pest control is inside your house, outside your house, your garage, and around your house, like 10 feet up, 10 feet out. The state law is you only go so far, then you got to skip a spot, go so far, skip a spot. You can't have a continuous band anymore. But it would include like your roaches, spiders, ants, spider webs, wasp nests around your house, just general pest service.
I see. And why can you not have a continuous band? Just curious.
State law, state regulations. It's all state regulated.
Limited
EPA.
to so many feet, I guess.
Right.
Okay. And now when you spray the outside, I know this is a legitimate good question that a lot of people have. They're concerned about their plants. They're concerned about their pets. Tell me about the chemicals that you use. Are they harmful to pets? Are they harmful to plants?
They are not. It won't hurt any of your pets, any of your plants. For general pest control, there are some chemicals that we use. Let's say you have a bad German roach problem in your house. Okay. That's totally different, because we got to use like a pyricide and kind of fume the house. So you have to be out, your pets have to be out, including fish and birds, for at least 2 hours.
I see. But that's a really harsh chemical that you're really trying to kill some serious bugs and roaches and things like that with, I would imagine.
Yeah, when you get done, you'll probably see thousands of them when you get back home dead.
Wow. Glad I don't need that. I'm glad I got you early, so I don't need that. Let's put it that way.
The object is be preventive and not reactive.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, it's always better to not react to a situation. Great advice there. Now, how often do you recommend someone uses service?
For general pest control with no problems, you could do it quarterly, which is every 3 months. If you really have a problem, you may have to do it monthly for like 3 months until the problem gets under control. Then you can move to quarterly.
I see. Okay. So if you're someone that you don't necessarily have a problem, but you just kind of want to keep it up and make sure you never have a problem, every 6 months is good, or
every 3 months.
Every 3 months is good. Okay.
Yeah. Pesticides usually last 2 to 3 months depending on the weather.
Yeah. And that's probably pretty standard state to state or whatever. And,
Correct.
Okay. Gotcha. If you have a problem, let's say you come out there and you spray, and 2 months later, you're starting to kind of notice you come out and do a respray at that point, even though it probably never happens. But
yeah, just give me a call. We come back, and we'll be back the following month for you quarterly anyway, but we handle it.
Okay, good deal. Now, let's talk about flea service. You offer flea service. Tell me what that involves.
That involves where you have to be out your house for at least 2 hours, including your pets, because we're going to treat the inside and the outside. And that is harmful for you to breathe and for your pets to breathe.
I see.
So, and it's pretty entailed because everything has to come off the floors, off the floor closets. It's, when you get back, you got to clean your floors, vacuum. I actually have a prep sheet I'm going to give you before I do a flea service.
Okay.
For you to prep the house before I get there.
Okay, perfect. Now, you offer rodent service. Rodent service, obviously mice and rats. I'm sure there's some other rodents involved in that, but I want to talk about those a little bit, because that's something that doesn't just affect people that don't keep up their yards you could have an immaculate yard with a shed in the back, and that shed could have a mouse or two in it. I mean, is that pretty common? Is that something you see?
Everybody's going to get rodents. We have 3 main rodents here. We have the roof rat, the Norway rat, and the house mouse. That's our 3 prevalent rodents here. And for rodents is a total different license than the pest control license. Yeah. So you got to test for that too. And the days of just going in an attic or a shed and throwing rodenticide in there are over. Everything has to be in a lockable container now, because they don't want secondary kills. Right. You don't want to kill a raccoon, a possum, a dog, or cat. So yeah, that's true. Yeah, but everybody's going to get rodents. It's every 21 days they have a litter of 6 to 12. In 21 days, that 6 or 12 is mature enough to have their litter of 6 to 12. So it's continual. They like rabbits.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
The object is keep a rodenticide around your house so they don't come in your house.
Man, I want that. Whatever it is, I want it around my house, because I do not like mice. They're just nasty. So I'm glad that you exist for that reason as well. Do you see a big problem, in the area with like mice and there's mice and there's rats, and when I think of rats, I think these big look like giant cats with a tail that's sewer rat looking. Are there a lot of those around?
Absolutely. They're everywhere. You actually could go in the United States, the 2 most prevalent areas for rats are New Orleans and New York. You actually could take a paid tour in New Orleans to look at the rats. When I was getting licensed, we had to go to a conference in New Orleans, and we actually had to take that tour as part of our training.
Wow. Interesting.
And there's so many of them in New Orleans, they beat down the grass. It's a trail. It's just dirt where they went through the grass so often. And at nighttime, there are thousands of them.
We're going to move to another subject here, but very interesting as usual. What is exclusion service?
Exclusion is sealing up all the entryways around your home, your weep holes. We use a copper stuffing because you don't want to close them completely. Yeah. Where your air conditioning lines go through your house. A lot of times the contractors, when they build your house, they'll leave a gap where 2 roofs meet, and it's usually about this big. We'll seal that up. It's pretty much all your entry points where anything could get in. A mouse could get in the size of your pinky. A rat could get in the size of your thumb.
That's unbelievable. And obviously you have to have a few weep holes here and there because your house has to breathe. And if you seal all that up, your house gets really tight. It could cause problems. But
yeah, we use a copper stuff it so it still breathes.
Very important and important for folks to know. So if you're someone who notices a lot of gaps in your house, and you know, not only are you going to help just from the aspect of your house being sealed better, but also you're going to keep rats and mice and all those things from being able to get in from the outside. They got to come in from somewhere, right, Jamie? Yeah. And that's likely where they come in. So crazy ants. This is something I have no idea what this is. I know what an ant is, but what is a crazy ant? Tell me about that.
They're actually called raspberry tawny crazy ants. They were discovered in Texas first, but they've spread out everywhere. They don't make ant mounds like you typically see a fire ant mound. They won't make a mound. They bed under flower pots, bricks, rocks, landscaping. They'll wipe out all your crickets and grasshoppers in your yard. They still trail, but their trail is like 3 feet wide. It looks like they're going crazy, but they actually have a pattern.
Which would be where the name comes from.
Well, that's where the name comes from. And it's raspberry tawny crazy ants, and that's two people's names that they were discussing who discovered them first, so they just named them Raspberry Tawny, which is the two people that discovered them. They'll get in your house. They'll actually be 10, 20,000 of them in your house when you get them bad. You'll see them all over your slabs, or if you got a raised pier house, coming up your brick piers. They get everywhere. They're horrible.
And you do offer a service that will get rid of those if they...
Yes, and normally if you get crazy ants, you got to have your yard treated twice a year because they will come back.
I see. Now, another topic I wanted to discuss is your bed bug service. Now, bed bugs are... I'm not real familiar with what causes them, what they are, but I know they're really, really bad. I would imagine they're more prevalent in like hotel rooms and stuff like that, probably, or people that really need to watch when they get something like that. Hotel owners, probably this is something that they really need to watch, but I would imagine anybody could get it. Residential people just as well. Tell me about bed bugs and what should you look for if you may have bed bugs? What procedures would you recommend for removal of bed bugs?
The first thing you need to know about bed bugs are hitchhikers. It doesn't matter if you're clean, dirty, where you live, how you live, they're hitchhikers. You can pick them up from a hotel if you travel. Your kids can bring them home from school. I've seen brand new furniture come from the stores, the warehouses, still wrapped in plastic, infested with bed bugs. I suggest if you travel and go to a hotel, the bathroom is always tile and the sink there's no cabinets under the sink. Bring you a big black trash bag, put your suitcase in the trash bag underneath the bathroom sink. Don't put it in the dressers. That's where a lot of people bring home bed bugs because they are hitchhikers.
Yeah.
The adults look like a little apple seed. The nymphs are almost translucent. You got to find them with a magnifying glass. To tell if you have them at home, if you're getting bit on your couch, in your bed, in your recliner, then you probably need to call somebody. If you're laying in bed and you see little blood spots on your pillow at night or on your sheet, that's where they bit you and pulled out and left a little blood trail. Mm-hmm. They do breed rapidly. They actually could go 9 months without a blood meal, and they live in your walls. So when we treat your house for bed bugs, we're actually taking the electrical sockets plates off, your light switch plates off, because we're treating in your walls too. Because they will come out. They're called bed bugs because people get bit in bed at night.
Yeah.
But you could get bit in the daytime on your couch, your recliner, because you brought them from your bed to your couch. So that's things you need to look for.
Is that a hard process as far as getting rid of those once you get them?
It's very hard. It's if you get bed bugs, prepare to clean them rooms out like you're moving. The beds have to be taken apart. The closets have to be emptied. The dressers have to be emptied. You'll leave all the furniture in there because we do have to treat that furniture. You would take everything out your dresser, put it in a black plastic bag, put it on your kitchen floor. Let me treat everything, including that plastic bag. You're going to dry them clothes on high heat for 20 minutes. Wash them, then dry them again on high heat. Heat does kill them. It doesn't prevent them, though, so you still got to have your house treated.
Right.
After you do that, put them back in the plastic bag and prepare to live out them plastic bags for at least a week or two because you're not going to put them back in your furniture, in your dressers yet.
Wow. And you as the person going in there getting rid of the bed bugs, I would imagine you got to get in like a spacesuit or something to do this. Are you concerned with maybe them getting on you or?
Yes, I wear a Tyvek respirator. I tape my pants legs, my shirt, the whole 9 yards. I actually spray my Tyvek pants legs down before I go in to treat.
Gotcha.
Because I don't want to carry them back to my truck or back to my house.
Yeah, I would be real concerned about that. But you do offer that service. And, you can already tell from talking to you, you're like the Dustin Hoffman of Pest. I'm telling you, man, you know more about pests than anyone I've ever talked to in my life. I think that's great. You're extremely passionate about what you do. And when you're passionate about what you do, no matter what it is, it reflects in your knowledge for it. So people would be hard pressed to find someone more knowledgeable than Jamie on all things pest. Just very impressive. Another thing that I wanted to discuss, and this is a problem right now. It's a problem in Livingston Parish as well as everywhere else around here. But it is everybody's grass is dying. And there's these, when I cut the grass last Sunday, I had a bunch of white moths flying up. Tell me about that. What is it? And what's causing that grass to die?
That is sod webworms. The moths are the adult webworm. The moths are not going to kill your grass. It's the webworms that's eating your grass and killing your grass.
So it's before they turn into
before they turn into a moth. Okay. And what I've been noticing, they're still in sunny areas. But in the shady areas, they're more prevalent. Yeah. But not to say they're not eating your grass in the sun, because they are. I've did plenty so far where the grass is just brown and it's bright sunny out there. But if you walk through the shady area, you'll see more moths come up than in the sunny areas. But it will devastate your grass.
Seems like this has been like a bad year for it. For whatever reason, I'm noticing it in my yard, and I don't recall noticing it this bad. I noticed them last year just a little bit. But it seems like even on Facebook, when I'm, going through different sites and stuff like that, I'll see people talking in this area about webworms. They don't call them webworms. They just say my grass is dying and there's these bugs flying out of it. What's going on?
Personally, this is the worst I've seen in 15 years. Yeah. It's really, really bad.
It really is. There's a lot of chatter on the social media about it. So if you're noticing that, if you're cutting your grass, and you're noticing moths flying up as you cut them, and your grass has a lot of dead spots or even just some dead spots, but it's enough to where it's noticeable, you probably have an issue like that. Give Jamie a call. He'll be glad to come out and at least diagnose it, see if that is the issue. And you can actually fix that problem for me. You have a chemical, I would imagine, you put on there.
Yes, I actually use a granule and a chemical. And once you treat your yard, you don't want to fertilize your yard after that. I treated one 2 weeks ago, and their grass is already growing back, which is awesome. It's lush green, and it was big brown dead spots. So it's working. It's effective.
Awesome. Now we talked about nuisance animals earlier, and you do trap and get rid of nuisance animals. Give me an idea of the nuisance animals that you deal with. Raccoons,
possums, bats, snakes.
What about moles?
Moles, Muscovy ducks right now. They listed as a nuisance animal now. Any game animal you could call the wildlife and fisheries, then they'll call me to give me permission, and that's deer, turkeys, raptors we can't mess with. That would be owls, hawks, and of course eagles. Yeah. Them are protected. Yeah. Bats are protected from May to August. We can't do anything with bats.
No kidding.
Their breeding season, if you have them, you have to leave them. That's why you need to have something done before May or after August. That's where exclusion comes in. You're going to exclude all the open areas in your house so they can't get in.
Now, you bring up bats, and I know a lot of people, I used to have this in my chimneys. We call them chimney sweeps, but they were almost like birds, and my wife would call them bats. I don't know. They might have been bats, but they'd fly in your chimney, and they'd fly out at night, and you'd hear them kind of in there. What is that? Is that a chimney
sweep? Yeah.
Okay.
Or
they're not bats.
Is it during the day or is it nighttime?
Well, I don't have the problem anymore, but when I was having it, it was at night that I would kind of hear them. But it was, scurrying around way at the top of the chimney. They weren't right there at the bottom, and I closed the flue. Yeah. But, like I say, my wife would call them chimney sweeps. But I always thought they were bats. Are those different, those two animals?
Yes, they are. Yeah. One's actually a bird and one's a rodent. The bat, because a bat is actually a mammal, has hair all over it. When you catch one, you open his teeth. He has the vampire teeth, but they don't hurt you. They eat insects. They do carry the hantavirus, though, which is really bad, just like a rodent, a rat, mouse.
Might even carry COVID.
Yeah. Well, when COVID first came out, they did talk about it came from bats. I don't know if that's true or not, but it was all over.
Who knows?
And who knows with
Give
COVID.
up figuring that one out.
Yeah, but bats usually like to get in little half-inch, quarter-inch spaces because they're really small. Yeah. People think they got a nice, good wingspan, but they're about the size of a house mouse.
Wow.
And they're really, really thin, so they could get in a half-inch crack. So that's where exclusion comes in really important.
Do you see an issue around here with bats?
All the time.
Really?
I got 400 and something out of them out of one apartment in 3 days. In the apartment.
400 something bats.
400 something bats.
Wow.
During the daytime, they're kind of lethargic. You could just walk up to them and grab them with PPE, of course, personal protection equipment. Grab them, put them in a bucket to relocate them. You can't kill bats. You got to get rid of them, relocate them.
And that was going to be my question. With some of these animals, of course, people don't want to kill them. They just want them away from their yard. In those cases, you do offer relocation services where you can bring them, if possible, somewhere.
If possible, some nuisance animals you have to euthanize. Yeah. Some of them you can relocate so many miles away from where you caught it.
Interesting. Okay. So y'all all see what I'm saying when I say this is not the standard pest control guy. This guy does everything. What about bees and wasps?
Bees and wasps and hornets, we do take care of them. I work with a tree company all the time. They trying to cut a tree down that's full of bees or hornets, and they'll call me. We just did one at the main post office off of Bluebonnet. The tree fell.
Yeah.
And we had to get there early in the morning to get the bees out and hornets so they could get the tree down before the employees came.
Okay.
So yeah, we do take care of that.
Interesting. Okay.
Even though I don't like yellow jackets.
Yeah, I don't either.
I like the team.
I like the team. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the ones in the ground though. The ground hornets I don't like, and I don't like yellow jackets. They're aggressive.
They're like heat-seeking missiles.
They are, just like the football team.
Go Jackets.
Go Jackets, yeah. So tell us about, I want to get into termites a little bit because that is something that is necessary whether you realize it or not. Termite services is a tricky thing, and I'm just going to give you my experience on this.
Go Ford for your next truck or SUV and find an easier way to buy with Woodhouse Ford today. And experience the convenience of buying with Woodhouse Ford. Save up to $13,000 off MSRP on a 2023 Ford F-150 XLT, plus 3.9% APR for 60 months with approved credit. $299 doc fee due at signing. Security deposit waived. Expires 1/02/2024.
Are you struggling to lose weight and keep it off? Tired of wasting time and money on starvation diets that lead to more frustration and stress? If there was a weight loss solution that could actually work for you, would you try it? Then head to Golo.com.
I'm Steve. I lost 138 pounds in 9 months on Golo.
I'm Amber. I've lost 128 pounds with Golo Taking Release.
If you're ready to take back control of your life, head to Golo.com now and see how Golo can work for you. That's GOLO.com.
My sleep is way better. My inflammation has gone way down. Golo saved my life. I was way overweight. That's what sent me down the path. I wanted to make sure and live for my kid.
I have literally tried everything. I was on the verge of getting gastric bypass surgery, and I saw the Golo commercial, and it was the last thing I tried because it worked.
Join over 2 million people who have found a better way to lose weight with Golo. Your healthier and happier life begins at Golo.com. That's GOLO.com. Again, GOLO.com.
It's expensive. It's of the pest control services, it's not the cheapest, and when you're not having a problem necessarily, it's easy to say, I don't really need, termite service, or I'm going to go buy some of these things you can buy at a store and stick them in the ground and they're going to kill the termites. And look, I was one of those people, and I was very fortunate I did not get termites, but there was a time when I realized this is like car insurance. It's something to protect me in the event that I get termites, that I'll have some protection there, because they'll literally eat your house away, will they not?
They will destroy it.
Yeah, and you've seen it how many times in your life? Probably millions. Yeah.
Termites do $5 billion worth of damage in the U.S. every year, more than fire, floods, and hurricanes. I'll give you a good example. We just treated one this morning. Another company went 2 years ago, didn't find any activity. And normally when you see termites, it's too late. You're infested. Yeah. You need to get treated anyway, but you're going to have to replace your damage now and get treated. So do the preventative, treat it before you get them. Because when you see termites, you're infested. You have them in your walls. Termites eat from the inside out, not the outside in. Normally when you see a mud tube on your slab or coming up your pier, they're already in your house, because that's the last thing they're going to build. So a good example is, we did one this morning. 2 years ago, another company didn't find any termites. Well, they started remodeling. It's costing her over $60,000 to replace the damage, when she could have treated that, and it was a really big house, could have treated that house for $1,200. Yeah. And she's sick right now.
Wow, that's unbelievable. Yeah, that it really is like insurance. It's, nobody wants to pay money for something they may or may not ever use. But if you have to use it, you'll thank God you have it.
This homeowner's insurance, because your homeowners doesn't pay for wood destroying organisms. That's what your pest control companies pay for. So when we treat your house, you're actually getting a warranty if you ever get termites.
Yeah. So what termites do you treat?
Eastern Subterranean, which is the reticular termes.
Love that name.
Formosan termites, which is your Coptotermes. Your Eastern Subterranean reticular termes is our native termite. They're the ones that were here. They settled here. They were the settlers. Formosans were imported. They come on the ships way back when, in the docks, back when it was wooden ships and wooden crates, and they were infested with Formosan termites, Coptotermes. And they just spread out like the plague. And now you see more Formosans than you do Eastern Subterranean. It's kind of like crazy ants. When they get in your yard, they're running everything out or killing everything. Formosans get there, they're taking over. Wow. So Formosans are from New Orleans, Florida, Arkansas. I actually went on a trip to Mexico, and the resort we stayed in was flat infested with termites.
Really? Oh. Wow. Did you let them know?
I let them know, and they had tubes that was over 30 foot tall.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. And just a side note here to everybody out there, I'm going to, of course, link all Jamie's social media of this podcast, but take a minute and go like his Facebook page. He posts some really interesting videos on some of the stuff we're talking about today. And I would encourage you, very interesting your life is from a professional standpoint and what you do. And, posting those videos on Facebook is interesting to those of us that don't see this every day. Even if it freaks us out, we're looking at it. It's like we can't take our eyes away. So keep doing that. That's a great thing to do to get interest out there. But I do encourage everyone on Facebook to check that out, like his page. You'll find some interesting information on there. So, with the termite protection services, the last thing I'll talk about this with, but what is the warranty cover? I guess you call it a warranty. What does that cover, the protection plan?
You'll get a reinspection every year, or you could do twice a year. If you ever get damage, termites, we're going to kill what's there, and you get $350,000 damage warranty, meaning the insurance company pays up to $350,000. Okay. And to add one thing to termites, I can't stress how important it is to get treated for termites, or it doesn't matter if your house is new or old. We did one last month. The house was 1 year old, had the pre-treat. A pre-treat is where they treat the soil before they pour the slab. They had the pre-treat. It's important that you get a post-treat within a year. Because that pre-treat, you got to remember that soil keeps getting disturbed from the contractors building the house and doing landscaping and yard work. So you got to have it post-treated. And that's kind of what happened with this house. She had it pre-treated, thought she was good forever. It's not. You got to be post-treated. And it depends on what chemical you use. One, every 5 years, you need to be retreated, which is called a booster. Another one, every 10 years, you need to be retreated with a booster.
Yeah. So viewers, listeners, pay attention to that. He's telling you right here, make sure that you get that post-treated. If you have a termite, you have a termite clearance, I don't know what you call it, but when you actually, even when you move in your house, you need to get it treated again when they're done. And that way you're going to, kind of double protect yourself, because he's had a situation where someone assumed they were fine and they weren't. And I'm sure you just hate to see that from a standpoint of what you do. I mean, it's just awful to see someone have to spend money they don't, shouldn't have had to spend if some pre-planning would have been done. So you also offer WIDRs, and our realtors and listeners in the Facebook and YouTube realms will know what that is. If you're not a realtor or someone in the know, it's wood destroying insect report is basically what that is. And do you offer that service? Will you do WIDRs for people?
We do, and that's a separate license I forgot to mention, but I do that. Okay. It's a wood destroying insect report. A lot of people call it termite certificates. It's not a termite certificate. It's a wood destroying insect report, which covers termites, powder post beetles, which is your lichted beetle, your boston beetle, carpenter ants is wood destroying. That's not covered under your pest control. That's a wood destroying. Carpenter bees. So if we do a wood destroying insect report on your house and we see any of that, we have to list it. If we find a body part of a wood destroying organism, we have to list it. It doesn't mean you're passing or failing. We just have to list it.
Gotcha. Anytime
you buy or sell a house, you have to have a wood destroying insect report, unless you pay in cash or cash sale.
Sure.
Anytime you finance it, you got to have one.
Your finance company's going to work.
Yeah, they're cheap to do. It's not saying you have termites. It's not saying you don't have termites. It's a walkthrough, a visual inspection report for the finance company.
Gotcha. So to sum all that up, folks, I mean, he offers flea service. He offers rodent service. He offers nuisance animal service, exclusion service, crazy ants, bed bugs. He's going to treat those little critters that are flying out of your grass and killing it. Bees and wasps, and he'll do WIDRs for you. So when I told you at the beginning that this guy is different than your average pest control company, now you see why. So let me ask you this. In the Livingston Parish area, what would you say is the most common issue that you see or get called out for?
It all depends on the time of the year. Right now, it's the webworms. Yeah. A lot of it is rodents, nuisance animals, German roaches, fleas. And again, it all depends on the time of the year, because everything goes in cycles.
Gotcha.
It's just like seasons, like fishing season, hunting season, football season, basketball season, baseball season. It's the same thing with insects.
Gotcha.
So it varies every single day.
Gotcha. And as you're viewing this video, if you're on YouTube or on Facebook, I'm going to have some pictures of some different things that we are talking about today. They'll pop up and you can kind of see exactly what me and Jamie are talking about. So if you're listening to it and you're curious, check out the video version. It'll have some pictures of some of the stuff we're talking about. I do like to bring up some fun facts and some things that are outside of the episode, so to speak, but have everything to do with what we're talking about. And you probably know these. I just picked a couple of them that I found were real interesting. And the first one is on termites. So termites eat nonstop, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, Jamie. You knew that, didn't you?
365. They don't sleep.
That's it. So if you're wondering, will they fill themselves up eating all your wood and eventually stop eating it? Ain't going to happen, is it?
Not going to happen. Only the worker actually eats your wood. They'll come up, eat. For every 10 workers you see, you're going to see one soldier. That's kind of like our military. Yeah. They're protecting that worker, because without the worker, the whole colony dies. The worker's going to come up, eat anything cellulose, wood, clothes, anything, paper, go back down to the ground, regurgitate what it ate. That's what the king, queen, soldier, and swarmer eats.
Indeed. Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah, and so if you had any question on whether you want termite protection, hopefully that'll convince you.
The queen lays an egg every 15, 20 seconds. The king just keeps her fertile, and it's just
unbelievable, man. So here's another interesting fact for you. The total weight of all the termites is actually, if you took all of them in the world and you stacked up and you held them, okay, the total weight is actually heavier than if you took all the humans in the world and held them. That's how many termites there are in the world. And they're little bitty. So you figure one of me is probably, I don't know, 1 million termites or something like that. If you actually held all the termites in the world up, they would weigh more than all the humans in the world.
You got me on that one.
Found that interesting. Yes, it took me a while to find that one. But that blew my mind. That tells you how many termites are in the world, man. That's crazy.
In my opinion, I believe God created termites to clean the forest floor because man made houses out of wood.
Yeah.
So if we didn't make houses out of wood, and there was a forest and trees fell in the forest, you wouldn't be able to walk in the forest from the trees and the limbs all over the forest. Something has to eat them.
Now,
termites,
that's an interesting
carpenter bees,
point.
carpenter ants, fungus. Fungus is also called lichen. Did you know fungus, lichen, eats rock, turns it into soil?
I did not.
And I learned this in Alaska when I took a trip to Alaska. Alaska's all mountains pretty much.
Yeah.
You know how they get trees in the mountains? The lichen eats the rock, the mountain turns it into soil. The soil is not very deep on the mountains, and that's where the trees grow from. It takes many, many hundreds of years for it to eat it down, but it eats it down. That's what creates your soil.
Ask your pest control guy that and see if he can answer it. And if he can't, call Jamie. That's interesting. And I did not know that. That's very interesting stuff. So here's another one for you. And this is Louisiana. This is directly in our neck of the woods here. The top household pest in Louisiana. Number one on that list is mosquitoes. Probably no surprise to anybody. Now this is pest control. This is the top pest issues people complain about. But mosquitoes would be number one in Louisiana.
I would believe that.
So I've got a question for you. Do you offer the fogging services that they do for mosquitoes, or what do you offer any type of service to help alleviate mosquitoes, especially if you're entertaining outside? You know, it's October, it's football season. So tell me about that. Do you offer any of that?
We do. We have 3 different services. We can fog it, we can spray it, or there's actually a misting system which you own, comes with a remote. You can set it to come on any time of the day you want, mist as long as you want. We service it every 3 months, so you have it all year long. During the winter
now, that's interesting.
During the wintertime, we winterize it because you don't want the pumps to freeze and the hoses to crack. And it's little jets, little misting jets. If you're going to have a party, you want to have your yard fogged or sprayed at least 3 days before your party, because it's not a contact kill.
Yeah.
It's kill them, but it takes up to 3 days. And mosquitoes light underneath vegetation. So if you got a low-hanging tree, they're going to light underneath the leaves.
Right.
So you want to treat all the vegetation underneath.
Gotcha.
And the top also. But you want to have that done at least 3 days prior before you have a cookout, a party, a birthday party, so it'll be effective. So fogging, it lasts 10 to 15 days. Spraying lasts 20 to 30 days. The mosquito misting system, you control it. It lasts as long as you want.
That's really cool. So get in contact with you if you're someone that has a large outdoor kitchen or something like that, or you do a lot of entertaining, you got a pool out there, things like that, that'd probably be a good thing for you to look into. Get in touch with Jamie at Expert Pest Services on that. So we're going to go through the rest of that list. Flies are second on that list as far as top household pests in Louisiana. Fleas are third. Fourth, ants. And fifth would be mice. But the interesting thing is they're all within a percentage point of each other. So this is one poll. Who knows who was polled? But I found that interesting, and I was not surprised that mosquitoes were, they can get bad out there. So very interesting on that. Folks, if you need to do something, I'm going to say it again about alleviating mosquitoes, termites, if you got nuisance animals, all those things, you want to get in touch with Jamie. I hope viewing this podcast, listening to it, not only kind of showed you who Jamie is, and he's a local guy he's from Mamou, but he makes his home right here in Livingston Parish for the last 40 years. Kids went to school at Denham or
Live Oak and Walker.
Live Oak and Walker. Okay,
I went to Denham.
You went to Denham. So, wow, you ran the gamut on the local.
I have 4 daughters.
High schools. Wow,
I have 4 daughters, and I got 2 grandkids, and one of them goes to Denham.
Well, and all homegrown folks. So that's fantastic. You're a leader, man. I love to sit down and I love to talk to people that are passionate about what they do. But one thing I really like about you is your knowledge of what you do is second to none. And Jamie, you can tell that you just love what you do. Did you always know you wanted to be a pest guy? I mean, is this something that you just took to when, you tried it out and it was like, man, I really like this, and you couldn't get enough of learning about it?
It's a funny story. I was working at a local hospital 20 years ago, and I had PTO time, a lot of it saved up. Well, I had to take it. A friend of mine, a big national company, was hiring, and he said he got a bonus if he got somebody hired. So I had a lot of time off. I was just going to collect my PTO and work another job. Well, I ended up taking that job, working it, loving it so much, I resigned from the hospital and stayed with the pest. I just loved it. Another funny story, in 8th grade, we had a science project. And you know how young boys are. We don't want to study. We don't want to do anything. Right. So I just went in the yard, started picking insects up and pegging them to a styrofoam board and labeling them.
Before you say anything else, young boys except McHugh. He always loved to study. He's off camera right now, but he loved it.
That's a bright fella right there.
He is.
So I did that, looked him up in the dictionary, turned it in, made a pretty good grade on it. Fast forward till whatever age I was when I got into the pest control industry. And I thought about this when I got into the pest control industry. That was my science project in 8th grade, and that was the thing I was the proudest of the most.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm doing for a living today.
Isn't that amazing?
Yep.
It's funny. I mean, sometimes when you have a calling, when you have something you love to do, because Jamie, I talk about it on this show all the time. One of the things that hurts me most about some people, and I know some of these people personally, is they kind of hate what they do for a living, man. And they're just either doing it because they're making a ton of money doing it and they can't walk away, or they're doing it because they just haven't found that passion yet for what they do. And one of the things I try to get out of this show is and what I hope people get from this, other than the fact that we're all local people and we need to support each other, is I want people that maybe are on the fringe of doing something they really love to do. Maybe they'll see your story and that'll inspire them. And that's something that on this show is very important to me. And so I think you're awesome, man. Jamie is my pest control guy. He services my business and my house, and I wouldn't have it any other way. That's not to take away from any other pest control company. I'm sure there's a lot of good ones out there, but you'd be hard pressed to find somebody that loves what they do as much as Jamie, knows their business as well as Jamie, and that means a lot to people that really care about that sort of thing. So good job, man. How can folks find you, Jamie, if they're looking for you on the internet or they want to call you? Kind of tell us how they can get in touch.
They can find me on the internet at www.expertpestservices.com. Call me at 225-315-0097, just like James Bond with a 9. Or find me on Facebook, Expert Pest Services.
There you go. And what I'm going to do is, as I said earlier, I'm going to link all that to my social media. And that, my social media and this video, so that you can easily go to the comments there and just click on it, and it'll bring you right to Jamie's stuff. Really follow his Facebook. It's interesting. I do have a gift for you. We'll present you with the bag's free, but I'm also present you with, and this is free too. This is from me to you and Farrell Calhoun Paint. I'm going to give you that, but
absolutely,
I'm going to tell you an interesting story on that. So Sporting Center, they actually make those. They don't make the cups. They have a machine that actually will etch any logo into there, and they can do that in-house. It's a laser. We did an episode a while back where James Adam McCants talked about that. Sporting Center, a proud sponsor of Local Leaders of Podcasting, really good people locally. So that's from them and from Farrell Calhoun Paint and from me, for you to put your water in, and that way when you're killing all them termites, you have something to drink out of.
Which I do all day long.
Yes, you do. I want to take 1 minute and I want to talk directly to you people out there. I had a text this morning from a friend of mine who is also a podcaster, and actually, I'll tell you, it was real life, real crime. Woody Overton texted me this morning and congratulated me. I shockingly was number 48 in the top 50 of Podcast Magazine's hottest podcast for last month. Now, this totally confuses me. I do not deserve it, and but I'm totally thrilled for that honor. What really makes this special to me is that you actually have to vote in order for that to be in the running. You would have to go and vote for me. You would have to put my name on a link and say that I was your favorite podcast. I don't know how many people did that, but it was a lot. To put that into perspective, number 47 on that list, who I was number 48. That was NBC's Dateline. Okay, so everybody knows that they were right ahead of me. A few ahead of them, Brie and Nikki Bella, the Bella twins. If you're a WWE wrestling fan, one of them was a former fiance of John Cena. They were like number 37. So I don't know what to attribute any of that to, except for it's guests like Jamie that do that for me. It's the people that sponsor my podcast. Those are the people that make that possible. I am absolutely thankful to all of you, and I wanted to take a second to thank all of you that listen, all of you that share all my podcasts and are so fired up for me. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. It's not just me, though. I want to also shine a little bit of a light on McHugh David, who does all the sound and actually sits there and listens to me talk more than probably anybody but my wife, and never complains. So he shares that with me. He's kind of the brains behind everything I do. I just kind of run my mouth. So thank you very much, McHugh, for engineering my podcast and everything you do. I do want to thank you, Jamie, for coming on today. Expert Pest Services. You shed a light on all things pest today, and I appreciate you for that. I want to thank the Livingston Parish News for the space, and all you viewers and listeners for your support. Follow me on all my social media and spread the word. And thank you again to my sponsors. I could not do any of this without all of you. If you're interested in sponsoring Local Leaders of Podcast or appearing on the podcast, you can reach out by emailing jim@paintpodcast.com. If you're interested in getting my newsletter, The Weekly Leader, straight to your inbox, completely free, I'm going to attach a link in the description of this podcast where you can sign up. Next, my guest will be Dr. Cheryl Jean of Triton Healthcare. She'll be joining me to discuss what this longtime Livingston Parish business has been up to and what they do at Triton Healthcare. Until next time, I am Jim Chapman, reminding you, love your community, support local business, and keep leading. Do you need cash? Do you want to consolidate debt? Premier Credit can help. They provide quick and confidential loans for any reason. Their service is same day, and most loans are approved within minutes. You can apply in person or by the phone. Their experienced and knowledgeable loan professionals will leave you feeling confident that your loan is being properly handled in a secure manner. Premier Credit can be reached at 225-667-8100, or you can email WeSayYes@premiercredit.com, or stop by and spin the wheel at 139 Del Norte Avenue in Denham Springs. They're open Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and are a proud sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast. If you're in the market to purchase a home or sell your home, then Tricia Johnston of Ladder and Bloom Realty can assist. With over a decade of experience in the area, Tricia's vast knowledge of real estate makes her the perfect realtor to represent you. For more information, Tricia can be reached at area code 225-754-2000 or via her website at triciajohnston.com. Tricia Johnston, building a strong foundation of trust, one home at a time. William Waldrop of TWFG Insurance in Denham Springs can service all of your insurance needs. Offering auto, life, health, and commercial insurance, William Waldrop of TWFG Insurance is a proud supporter of Local Leaders, the podcast. BJ Pawn and Gun has been servicing the Livingston Parish community since 1990. If you need it, there's a good chance BJ Pawn has it. So go see them in Denham Springs. They're a proud sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woo-hooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses, so don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.